Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Dark Powerrr, where we cover everything that happens on AEW Dark, AEW Elevation, and of course NWA Powerrr. My voice is still a little scratchy after being in the Sears Center, the now arena for All Out. It was an incredible experience, and I think it's, like I said on the review show, I think it might be the best pay-per-view I've ever seen live. So bear with me, if you will, while my voice recuperates. But we have a lot to talk about this week on Dark Elevation and Powerrr. But before we do that, I got to remind you guys, hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe if you have not already. We are continuing our march to 1,600 subscribers, and we appreciate everything that you guys do because it allows us to do what we do for you. So let's talk about Elevation. Elevation had a couple things that stood out to me. The first of which was the Anthony Bowens match with Griff Garrison. This was a singles match that is kind of, I guess, continuing, not really, but it was continuing the feud between the Acclaimed and Varsity Blondes. And this was a match where we had some nice singles action. Bowens has been having Max Caster missing in action for some time, but Max Caster is back. And Caster showed up during this episode of Elevation to help Bowens pick up the win. It was a nice singles match that kind of gives a tease of what could be the future for Griff Garrison and for Anthony Bowens as singles competitors. Now, that's not saying that the Varsity Blondes or the Acclaim should break up anytime soon. It's just saying that they have potential as singles wrestlers. And the other thing that kind of stood out for me from Elevation was the main event. It was a 6-man tag match between RSP, Serpentico, and Luther Chaos Project versus what is quickly becoming a trio in AEW, and that is Darby Allin teaming up with Moxley and Eddie Kingston. This was a good, I keep saying trios for some reason, a good 6-man tag match. And I got to say that they do a lot of great work when Darby is being a face, getting the shit beaten out of him. And you know that sooner rather than later, Uncle Eddie and Uncle John are going to get tagged in and they're going to clear house. And you're just waiting for that moment. But Darby, it only works if Darby's able to sell getting the living, shit beaten out of him. And he does. It's something he does incredibly well. So kudos to Darby for that. And of course, John and Eddie doing what they do as always. RSP looked pretty good in the match, and Chaos Project, they are what they are when it comes to sorry, throat's still going. When it comes to their in-ring work in AEW, but they are also a trio that could have some potential if RSP continues to be used in AEW. So let's switch over to Dark. Dark had some pretty interesting stories this week, which is something that's kind of peculiar because normally stories have been on Elevation as opposed to Dark, and it's an interesting switch. I don't know if basically somebody just has switched the placards on the rundown sheet, and people think they're going out for Elevation when they're supposed to be going out for Dark, or I don't know what the case is. But either way, this is there are two matches here that stood out to me and also had stories. And one is Alan Angels taking on Evil Uno. Now, this is a match that has a story built into it between who is not the leader of Dark Order, but Alan basically feels as though it should not be Evil Uno. He's not saying it should be him, but he doesn't feel as though it should be Evil Uno. And I think what I like about this is it's keeping the memory of Brody Lee alive. Uno isn't really a heel. Uno's basically just saying, I'm doing what I think is right, and I'm trying to do the best job that I can. And Alan is saying, well, just because you have Uno as in your name, just because you're Dark Order member number 1, it doesn't mean that you're the leader. And of course, this is part of the larger kind of civil war or issues between the group or within the group that we've been seeing. And so I liked having the match. I liked having the story We had members of the Dark Order, respective members of each camp outside, and they didn't really run interference so much as they were just saying, hey, this is at the end of the day still your brother. Do you want to hit him that hard? And that was a nice touch. Uno eventually does pick up the win, but good match, and it continues the story, and I want to see where they go with it. I want to see if this is going to require Adam coming back and reuniting them and saying, hey, guys, like, I know I said I was going to do this on my own, but you guys need my help, and you're my friends, and we are a family. So we'll figure this out together. Maybe that's what's going to happen. We'll see. Another thing that stood out to me from Dark was the Lee Moriarty match with Joey Janela. This match had a lot going for it. There's no story here, but it was a really, really, really good match. This probably is match of the night for some people. I think it probably is tied with the main event, which we're going to get to. But this was a nice match that had a lot of athleticism. Lee Moriarty is an incredible talent. Joey Janela is somebody who is really good at getting beaten up. And a lot of people like to see Joey Janela get beaten up for many different reasons. So it works out very well. I don't know, and they didn't say the name, and they kind of said it was a mystery woman, who is the woman who is now accompanying Janela to the ring. And it's the same woman from last week, but we don't know exactly who she is. I know there was some sleuthing that was being done, and she has some kind of connection in real life to Jade Cargill. I believe they trained together or something to that effect. But either way, she adds a presence to Janela. And again, I think I said it last week. It's kind of weird that they didn't use Brandy Lauren. But, maybe the track record of working with your significant other, he doesn't want to lose Brandy Lauren to somebody on the AEW roster the same way that he may or may not have lost Penelope Ford. But either way, this was a really good match. If you get a chance, check this one out. But definitely check out this main event. Our main event of the evening for Dark is a 3 strikes match between Big Swole and Diamante. This is a feud that has been brewing for some time. And really, 3 strikes, they're coming up, with that name, but realistically, it's a 3 stages of hell match. And the first fall is a regular pinfall. The second fall is submission. And the third fall is a knockout. Diamante and Swole have been going back and forth. We kind of saw a little bit between them as well in the Women's Battle Royal at All Out. Obviously, this is taped before that, but these two in the ring know what happened in the Battle Royal in the sense that they know they're going to be against each other. So they have a really good match. The first fall goes to Diamante when she cheats and he rolls Swole up with the tights. The second fall is going to go to Swole, obviously, with a submission move. The finals of the match involves Swole using handcuffs to knock out Diamante. Check this one out if you get a chance. It's pretty good, and I think realistically why I want to give it a shot is because, or would like you guys to give it a shot, is if you've been following along with the Swole and Diamante storyline, I want to reward it when AEW puts stories on Dark and on Elevation, because that's something that's very important for the show, and it's important for people to be able to develop, and they develop through having storylines and through having matches that have meaning. So that's always important. But guys, let's turn towards the NWA. The NWA this week was classic kind of NWA chaos, sort of. It was a little bit cleaner than before. We start off with a Team Adonis, not Team Adonis, Adonis Team promo. What did I write? Oh, Team promo. Oh, sorry, I'm thinking Chris Adonis. Sam Adonis, El Rudo, his team has a promo because I'm thinking of him as Sam Adonis instead of El Rudo. But his team has a little promo, and we get into the end taking on Jordan Clearwater and Scion, who I now know how the name is spelled, and it's Cyon, which seemed a little weird, but I kept thinking it was Sion because that's how you would normally spell the word Scion. But anyway, good tag match and kind of working his heels, which seemed a little weird because Jordan Clearwater is getting his ass handed to him, And Scion is nowhere to be found throughout the course of the match. It felt a little weird, him just kind of abandoning his tag team partner, but it also felt kind of on brand for him. However, Clearwater, because he's a heel, gets kind of thrust into a babyface position, which seemed kind of off and awkward. And the end, they don't give a shit. They're going to beat him up no matter what. So they are taking advantage of this. They do pick up the win, but Clearwater, gives his best, as we will also find out a little bit later. We have a promo here quickly, or interview desk with the Hawks. Nothing too crazy. Father-son duo. We're going to win. We're going to do XYZ to win the tournament, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing too crazy. Promo was all right. The son is working on getting his promos up. It feels like it. And he will be rewarded if he continues to put in work on his promos. Our next match was Jedis versus Jeremiah Plunkett. And if you guys kind of know where this match is going, well, it's going where it's going. Jedis is not going to lose this match after he won that battle royal for the NWA National Championship opportunity. What was kind of weird about this was that James Storm comes out to confront him when obviously Jedis has got a shot against Chris Adonis. So why is Storm really bothering to get involved? But I don't know. That's what they wanted to go with, because I guess Adonis being the heel, why would he come out? But either way, it works. It works as a match. It works as a segment. It just felt weird because we did have a showdown last week between Chris Adonis and the Sinister Minister and Jedis. So why bother to call out James Storm this week? Next, we have a Jax Dane and Crimson promo battle. This one was pretty good. It had some good moments. Crimson definitely seemed more comfortable than Jax Dane. I don't know if Dane just doesn't do that well as in the heel role that he's in, probably because he's kind of being forced to come across as a chicken shit heel, and he does not look at all like a chicken shit heel. The gentleman on the left in the picture does not look like he should be running away from a fight. And I get it that that's his former tag team partner, so he knows that that guy knows him very well. But at the same time, look at him. He should not be a chicken shit heel. And it feels a little forced, but either way, we will be seeing the two of them. I keep using that as a phrase, but either way, or regardless, I gotta find some new phrases. But they are going to be in the main event next week, taking on each other. There was no talk about whether or not the title opportunity that Jax Dane has will be on the line. I don't know if that's going to get added to it, or if maybe we will have some kind of weird finish that involves them having a match again and the title opportunity is on the line. I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind having that title opportunity on the line, and Jax, we get to see him be a little bit more of a physical heel as opposed to a chicken shit heel, and he's able to pull out a win and hold on to that title opportunity. It also doesn't feel right because the way he turned heel was through physically beating the shit out of Crimson and almost knocking Crimson out of that triple threat match at NWA 73. So why all of a sudden now he's scared of Crimson or willing to, be fearful of him kind of boggles the mind. But hey, I guess we gotta run with what we gotta run with. Ooh, I don't like that as a transition. I don't know. We'll have to work on it. We'll have to workshop it, guys, together. Our next match is a good match here. We have Kylie Ray taking on Tootie Lynn. This match was pretty good, pretty well done. It was a little out of the norm, I will say, because Kylie was forced to kind of work as a heel due to the fact that they're in St. Louis. Tootie Lynn is from St. Louis, and if you did not watch NWA Powerrr, you should, because the pop that Tootie Lynn got when she came out for that women's gauntlet was pretty big, and that forces Kylie to kind of work a little bit more heelishly because she knows that the crowd's going to be behind Tootie Lynn. She does pick up the win. It was a good match, but I don't know what exactly they're going to do going forward with Tootie Lynn. Is this just somebody who they booked for these filmings because they were in St. Louis? Is she somebody who's going to be with the NWA going forward? She could be a really good addition to their women's division because their women's division doesn't really have that many people. We do. I don't know if I'm saying it out of order, but there was I think it was after this. There was a interview segment where we had Paola and Marty Bell going back and forth. I didn't really write anything down or anything about it because the interview was a bit of a mess, and the two women just devolved into yelling in their kind of respective quote unquote native tongues. And Kyle was forced to say that there are going to be a series of matches. There's going to be AK versus Genocide and Marty Bell versus Paola. And if in either of the two matches, if one of the tag team champions loses, then that team of Genocide and Paola will get a future women's tag team title shot. Seems a little weird, especially because we just know that they're going to get it. But I mean, maybe you could have come up with a little bit more of a creative way. But either way, just kind of if the first match is a win for Marty or AK, we know that the next match is going to be a loss for Marty or AK. And at the same time, it is one of those, I guess they could just have the first match be the loss and not even need the second match, which is fine. I would like that more because you're not trying to lull me into a situation of danger when I know what the outcome is supposed to be. So that would be a nice twist on how these things are normally presented, and hopefully they do something like that. I doubt it, but we have a promo segment with Tyrus, Black G's, Jordan Clearwater, Austin Idol. It's a little clunky. Black G's is kind of explaining that they're all on the same page and there was no issue. Maybe he got a little out of hand last week with how he attacked Tyrus during that match, that title defense for Tyrus. Whatever. He should, it doesn't make sense because he should have just laid down if that was the case. If the case was that they did it on purpose, which is what they're saying they did, he should have just laid it down. Why he even bothered to try to have some kind of semblance of a match so it would appear to be real seemed weird. And then allegedly kind of snaps and really wanted to try to beat Tyrus for the TV title, whatever. Jordan Clearwater also then says, I always give 110%. Obviously, we can tell that Scion only gave 65%. Seems weird. These guys are all heels. Why is he trying to have a bit of a face moment? He should have just, talked shit to the end and said that, Scion abandoned me and you guys had to beat me up 2-on-1, but it wasn't a fair fight, but I could have beaten you if I had known that Scion wouldn't be there or Scion wouldn't help. I could have been able to beat you guys by myself. My game plan was messed up. Blame the other guy, but don't be like, I gave a valiant effort. I really tried, guys. Crowd, don't you think I tried? It just felt a little too face-ish for somebody who's clearly being surrounded by heels and is in a heel group. Unless they're trying to break Jordan Clearwater out of there, I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to them trying to break Jordan Clearwater out of there. And finally, in our main event, we have Mims and Sal Rinauro taking on Marsh Rocket and Slice Boogie. This was a pretty good tag match. They set up Mims as the hot tag, Sal Rinauro getting the life beaten out of him. He's in the Darby Allin role similarly to our match earlier on Dark. They do get up the win, which is a kind of a nice way of changing things up. Saul usually is not somebody who gets wins, so giving him this win was really nice. And that leads us to our final segment. Our final segment is Nick Aldis speaking and talking to us about everything that he went through when he was the world's heavyweight champion for 1,044 days. My apologies, Nick. He apologizes to Kyle for punching him a week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, or whenever that. I think it was during the pay-per-view. He's out there with Strictly Business. Mickie James isn't out there yet. I took the photo a little bit late. But it's a really, really strong promo. My goodness. Aldis puts over Corgan, puts over the NWA, puts over Murdoch. He says that a lot of people think that they know what should be done or how things should be booked. But realistically, they don't know anything because they've never been in his shoes. They've never been in Corgan's shoes. They've never been a multimillionaire superstar rock band person. They've never been world heavyweight champion. So how do they know what needs to be done? How can any of us really judge Nick or Strictly Business for what they do? Which is a fair, valid point. And he says that Trevor Murdoch now needs to know that all of the responsibilities, all the duties, all the difficulties that Aldis faced for 1,044 days, those burdens are now on his shoulders. And Trevor has to figure out whether or not his shoulders are strong enough. He may think that they are. A lot of people think that they are. A lot of people want to be champion, but they don't know the stress, the dangers that come with being champion. And he reminds Trevor that winning is in the family business, and that's when Mickie James comes out. And that sooner rather than later, Nick Aldis will be back to challenge for that NWA Worlds Heavyweight Championship. So this is not the end. This is not the end for Nick Aldis, as it should not be. I don't know who Trevor Murdoch will lose the title to. I don't know who we should lose the title to. It's difficult with the NWA because they do have a bit of a revolving door in some regards with the cast of characters. Maybe they're going to heat up Tom Latimer. I don't know. Maybe they're going to put the title back on Aldis. I don't know. Maybe it'll be Pope. I don't know. A lot of different choices, a lot of different options. We shall see how all of that shakes out. But that's for a different episode of Dark Powerrr. I mean, more than likely a Dark Powerrr special of a pay-per-view or a roundtable when Trevor loses that title. I do hope that Trevor gets a long reign, though. That'll be kind of nice. I hope he's not really a transitional champion. I think he deserves a little bit more for the career that he's put in. You know, sometimes when Leonardo DiCaprio got that Oscar for, I think it was The Revenant, could you argue that maybe his performance in The Aviator was better? That his performance in Wolf of Wall Street or Departed or any of the other movies that he's been nominated for was better? Maybe. And maybe that Revenant Oscar was kind of a Lifetime Achievement Award. And in that same vein, maybe this World Championship is run for Trevor Murdoch is not something that Trevor necessarily deserves right now in his career, but maybe it's something that he deserves for all of his career. So we'll see what happens. And that, guys, is the end of this episode. Thank you once again for tuning in. You can always catch me on Fusion of Honor with my co-host, three-time baby making champ Ness, where we cover MLW Fusion and Ring of Honor. Remember to hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe if you have not already. And until next time, guys, remember to take care of yourselves and each other.